houses are so expensive. Can Gen Z even afford a house?
Pretend I'm a Gen Zer. What do I need to do to get this house?
It's tough, but you need to do these steps.
You're a real estate professional.
Yes.
Let's
So
talk about
I am
you,
a
Shamima.
realtor. My name is Mima, and I've been doing real estate for 3 years now, and I've seen a lot of trends happening in Gen Z. A lot of my friends are Gen Z. I went to college with them, high school with them. Gen Zs are trying to creep into the real estate market, especially now since the boom of pandemic happened. They've seen a lot of people getting into it. They've seen the value of it, so they see the potential of real estate. So I feel like a lot of people of my age group are open to that idea and trying to get into the real estate market as well. So
I was so excited to buy my first house at 24. Is your generation, the Gen Z generation, are they excited to buy houses right now?
well, I think there's some mixed emotions there. Like a lot of, especially with the rising home prices, it's kind of motivating some individuals from Gen Z and then demotivating some too. So I think there's a mix of wanting to purchase but can't purchase because that's where the affordability comes in.
It's different though, because we've heard so much in the news about how millennials just they're like, I can't buy, I won't buy. I'm a millennial, I don't have any money, I'm never going to buy.
What's millennial again?
Millennials are people in their
30s?
30s,
Yeah.
going into their 40s
Okay.
now. But I think what you're saying is that your generation, Gen Z, they want to buy a home, they're motivated to buy a home, they're just trying to figure out how they can buy a home.
Exactly. So as you know, the market is very competitive right now. So getting into a home, getting your offer accepted is not the same thing as it was a couple years ago, whereas you can negotiate terms. You can negotiate the price. You can negotiate what you want and don't want and get seller's concessions. Nowadays, you can't do that. The biggest struggle right now is getting your offer accepted. So I've been facing a lot. Actually, something that happened yesterday, you know, we got outbid by $75,000.
It's a big number.
That's a
That
huge
is.
number. And they took the offer and under attorney review and under contract already within 2 days. So everything is moving very fast.
Is your client a Gen Z?
He's a Gen Z. I actually went to school with him.
Okay.
So there goes.
Did you try a love letter? I'm all for
I
love
did.
letters because I got my house through a love letter.
I did, but it was too late for that.
There was no love with the love letter.
No.
Got it.
You got to have a lot of love for $75,000.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, if it was like a small margin, then I guess that's when love letters work.
So
But-
explain to our viewers what is a love letter, and I love the love letter.
So love letter is when the new homeowner that wants to purchase their house expresses how much they love the home and they can see themselves in the home, creating a family. And usually the sellers, some sellers, not all sellers, if they're really attached to the home, they want the next person to take care of that home, especially if there's memories being made. You know, they have a lot of sentimental value to it. They don't want to just give it to somebody else, like an investor, and like they tore it all down or like whatnot. There's so many scenarios. So they want to keep that love in the room. So it touches some people, but not all.
So
you were one of the lucky ones.
I talk about it all the time. My love letter, the woman who was selling the house, she had been there for like 60 years.
Wow.
And she had a bunch of weddings and engagement parties all on her property. We wrote a love letter and we explained that we were going to get married on property and with our boys and everything. And we were not the highest bid. We were not the highest. But
For all of us normal people, it's all vomit now. But,
Yeah.
But we did
you
get
win,
married.
But you won
we
the,
did.
You won
we,
the house.
And we won the house and we got married on property.
Yes.
So I love love letters.
There you
Yeah.
go. So do Gen Zs know what a love letter is? Do Gen Zs love?
Yes, they
Yes.
do.
Like I
we
feel like
love.
Gen Zs are just a different.
Too young to love.
Like I don't know how to relate to Gen Zs.
I think
Puppy
we're
love.
more into. I think everyone's attention span is shorter now. Gen Z, we're all about content creation and AIs and all of that sort. But we do love.
Okay.
We can express our love through a letter, but I don't know if it's efficient. I
Okay.
don't think it's efficient in the home buying process unless, like I said, it has some sentimental value to it.
So do Gen Zs, are you finding that most of your friends are looking for real estate? How many of your friends have real estate at the age of 25 to 30?
So right now, my friends are still getting out of school. Like my
Right.
friend's in going to law school. She graduates in May. But we've had conversations where her and I want to talk about Airbnbs and getting rental property, especially in DC because that's a booming area. My other friend just graduated. She got her nursing degree. So they're getting into the careers right now.
They don't have any money yet.
Yeah, they're still in the developing stage. Whereas the friend that I helped the other day, yesterday that offer, he's an actuary. So his pay is, high up there. So he's had enough, money saved up. So he's trying to initiate and purchase. So it just depends on their life goals and if they finish, how far they are into their career. Whether if they graduated and then went to their school, then obviously they're a little seasoned into their career versus somebody graduating now and then getting a career. So they still have time to save that money.
Okay.
So I think my generation, they're thinking about it. I actually read a study that was done by Rocket Mortgage, and they surveyed 1,400 adults, 18 to 25-ish, and they asked if they're thinking about homeownership. 86% said they want.
Oh, wow.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but 44% said within the next 5 years they want to purchase.
Okay.
So that's a huge number. 44% is almost half.
But
So
what do you do? So if you're 18 to 30, let's just say, if you're in your 20s, what do you do about the rising home prices, the rising interest rates, and still just being at the very, very this is the beginning of your career, the very beginning of your career, where obviously you're not making what you're going to be making in, let's say, 10 years, even in 5 years.
Well, that's where the planning comes in, right? You have to be able to strategically plan. You can't just be like, I want to buy a house and then go into it. You have to understand there's a lot of people in the market right now. It's not just one or two buyers. There's so many bids happening. And there's multiple offers. Like, I show houses on Sunday, Tuesday, highest and best, and they already have 8, 9, 10 offers already. We've seen where open houses, people were out the door. I've seen that in the recent few weeks. So open houses, people are lined outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? I haven't seen it for a while, but it's happening again because everybody knows the value of properties. So back to your question, I think Gen Z need to prepare themselves because it's not just a down payment that you have to pay. You have to account for, a good credit score to get the pre-approval. You need to get the pre-approval. Then you have to estimate your closing costs. Then you also have to estimate your down payment. And yes, at the end of the day, once a property is sold, the seller is going to get everything in their bank account after it closes. Sellers still want to see that you're putting a high down payment because that shows you are legit. You are not playing about your money and you're putting a lot into an escrow. So if you do happen to back out midway through the transaction, you have a lot to lose in the line. So sellers are looking into that, your escrow amount, your actual down payment. So there's a lot of competition. So if you want to go above and beyond, you have to be able to compete in this market. If not, you will be submitting offer and you're not going to get it accepted.
So are Gen Zers renting? Are they living at home? What are they doing? I mean, not the 12-year-old ones, but the 20-year-old ones.
Well, they're renting. It makes sense to be living at home when you're in college, But after college ends, people, we're into our adult years, so we want to be able to move out. Like I moved out like 3 years ago, and 4 years ago.
To stay with me.
Yeah.
Oh, mine can
Until
go.
they get married.
It's fine. mine can get their own apartment. I'll come over.
But eventually we want to move out because, privacy
Sure.
and all that.
So what are you recommending so I'm a Gen Z, I'm 26 years old, and I'm your friend, and I say, Mima, what do I do? What are you going to tell me to do? What's your recommendation?
First, I want to know what you want. Do you want to get your single family? Do you want to do a condo? Do you want to do a multifamily? Do you want to?
I don't know what I want. I want you,
so
as the professional, to tell me what I should be doing.
I would discuss your financing options right now. Okay. So I want to know how much you have saved. What are we working with? Then I'm going to disclose the costs. Then I'll suggest house hacking. Hacking is...
I have 100,000 saved.
You have 100,000 saved.
Well, let her tell what house hacking is.
Okay, so hacking is when...
By the way, Noah loves house hacking.
I do. I just wish that I'd known about it when I was house hackable.
You could still.
You can still
I'm going to move my family into...
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
So when you rent one and you live one,
Okay.
you know, that's what I'm actually doing with my current home. My brother and I purchased a home, and we live in one, we rent one, and the mortgage gets split
So it's a
between us.
multifamily.
It's a
One apartment
multifamily.
you live in and one apartment you rent.
Yes.
Okay.
So that way the entire mortgage does not fall on you. So when we purchased, we had to put the 20% down as well because there were so many offers.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a multiple bidding option, and we had to find ways to win it. And I had to put 20% down because there was no other way. Either that or, and we had to do conventional because there's another thing with FHA. There's a lot of rules and regulations.
Right. Conventional mortgage versus an FHA mortgage.
For the property that we bought, it was bought 3 months prior. So it's an investor bought it and resold it without doing any work. So
wow.
great for him, but we're in the market to get a property. We need it. So we're going to pay whatever it is. You know, obviously the numbers we have to calculate made sense for us. But because it happened within the 3 months period, 90 days, we were not able to do the FHA route.
Wow.
So we had to switch to the conventional. So that at that time, we had to put 20%.
More down payment.
Yes,
Yeah.
at that time.
But you had it, so you were able to work that.
Yes. So
Because not everybody has that.
no, but the rules have changed right now. For 2 to 4 family, you can put minimum 5% down.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
November 18th of
For a
2023.
conventional loan.
Yes, that was changed.
And would you have
recently.
used that at the time if that was out there?
Yeah, of course I would have
Okay.
used it. You know,
Okay.
I would have.
Do you
So
automatically get PMI?
You with the 5% down, you don't have PMI.
I have to look into that. I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure,
So
but
was
I
your
think
issue?
you do have
Your
PMI.
issue was that you didn't want to do the time frame the FHA loan needed. The seller didn't want to wait for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they just wanted a traditional time frame without any of the extra
Yeah.
strings. Got it.
Rob, our amazing producer, just said there is PMI. Yes.
There is PMI. Okay,
There
so
is.
there is PMI. But, you know, back to your question, in order for Gen Zers to purchase home, they have to understand the upfront costs. They have to understand the down payment, closing costs, what the process is, and they have to be patient because they are going to get outbid. Unless you're putting an offer in the west of New Jersey or south of New Jersey where the demand is low versus where North Jersey, everybody wants to be near the city. The demand is high and the population is also.
So this is market
And it's more
based. So if
expensive,
you're in
yeah.
like Detroit, Michigan, where there's less demand for homes, then you may not have that FHA
Right.
Yeah.
issue, and people will take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you found that your peeps are finding like down payment assistant grants or anything like that that's geared towards your age range?
So there is something called NJHFMA. I might got the acronym correct wrong, but something like
What
that.
is it, NJY?
HFMA.
Okay.
So it's a
So-
housing grant program.
So, but you have to have certain credit score. You have to have the house has to be under a certain price. There's a lot of criteria that you have to make, but there's grants being offered. But
So that's
they
the
will
new,
help you with the down payment assistant.
the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency.
Yeah.
If anyone's
So
interested.
they will.
There's
help
definitely
you.
grants out there for people, but what I like is you did bring up house hacking and having being experienced. I wasn't Gen. What is this Gen again?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. I wasn't Gen Z. I was whatever I was. But I bought a house when I was 24, Gen X, and yeah, I'm definitely X-rated. But anyway, so I bought a house when I was 24. I put down the traditional 20%, and I don't regret the situation, but I think that if I had known about the two-family structure or any of these FHA loans, I could have done a lot more back then. I didn't know that. So I think that's great that you're advising the Gen Zs to do that. And as the experienced professional that I am now, I would 100% encourage everybody to go out and try to buy a 2 or 3 family home as their first home.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think
it's a
it
great
makes
strategy.
It is
And
because.
then you can build it up and
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. And if anything happens, life happens, and let's say you lose a job or whatnot, at least you have half of your mortgage being paid by your renters, you know?
if not all of it. I mean, if
Yeah.
you get more than if you get a
Yeah.
3-family home or, you know, what you can go up to like a 4-family, correct?
Yeah.
And still be residential.
Well, you could buy a 4-family.
And still be
there's different
residential,
loan
right?
Yeah, I believe there's still loan programs for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to get even more creative and add more income to it, rent out your parking lot. Like, let's say you do lose a job and you can't pay the mortgage.
Have you been learning from someone?
Oh, of course. Every
Rent
Tuesday.
everything.
Rent everything.
Rent everything. Yeah, you can rent out your parking lot. So I my property, we did the rental amount for the people downstairs, and the parking lot is also rented out to them. So if you want to park,
Great.
What are you
pay.
getting
I
for a
love it.
spot?
$250.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Go Mima.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a huge amount of money that adds.
Yeah.
So that really hits the bottom line. So
And it's a pretty big lot. So if we wanted to add more cars, we can. You know.
So
we
now
can-
this is your first. So you're still a Gen Z.
Right.
You'll always be a Gen Z.
Yeah.
But this is your first property. So how long have you had this property?
22.
So for 2 years.
You're a little over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah. And actually, I'm looking, but it's not easy.
Okay.
It is actually very
And
difficult.
what are you looking for? What type of property? What are you looking to do?
I'm looking for a multifamily. I'm okay with a gut renovation because the property that I'm in, we actually renovated the whole place. So I have a lot of experience in the renovation process, as I would like to think. But I am looking, even for a fixer-upper, whatever it is, 2 family. I need 2 bedrooms on top, minimum, and 2 bedrooms on the bottom, minimum. I would like a basement and a parking lot. Those are very
Okay.
important things for me when I'm looking for a house. And the price has to make sense.
Now, are you going to do an FHA loan or that 5% conventional? What's
know,
your plan?
I would want to put the lowest down payment, but we're in a competitive market, so I have to strategize like I do for my clients. Every house is situational. I have to talk to the listing agent and see if they have any offers. If they don't, then I have more wiggle room. If the house is not in demand, then I have more wiggle room. If I see people are lined up at the open house out the door, then I don't have any wiggle room. Then I have to come to my strongest if I want it. You know, there's so many strategies that you can do to put your offer strongest. Love letter is one of them, but 20% is one of them. FHA, conventional is always preferred because it's less risky. Down payment and sometimes waiving appraisal or like an appraisal period, but appraisal gap. But that depends on how comfortable you are and if you have the funds. So
Sure.
that's also
And you don't recommend waiving that if you don't know what you're doing.
yeah.
Explain what that is. Explain the appraisal gap.
So let's say how you put an offer for the house is 600 and then you put 640. Now, if you could do an appraisal up to 15K, 615, that if there's an appraisal gap, if they'll pay for that, or you could do 640. If it appraises at 600, you're
Right.
paying the 40 grand. Or it could be like $5,000. You set the bar.
You're going to
where you
make
wanna
up
be.
the difference if the appraisal is lower than the
Yes.
price
So
that you set
because
for.
of the crazy market, houses are going way over their
Right.
appraised value. So what this does is for a seller, it gives you the confidence to accept that higher offer.
Yeah.
Because you know you'll get the cash.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you also need to make sure that
Funds are there.
whoever is buying it has those funds.
Yeah.
I think we did an
So-
appraisal. I think we put in, we did some sort of assurance or something.
Okay.
As long as you have the funds, and you really want that, you have to love the house. You know, you have to love the house, and you have to really see yourself in it. Then I recommend all those. You can't put yourself in a money pit.
So now, do you plan on moving from your current location to this new property?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, really? So you've lived there long enough to move out that you're like, okay, now I'm going to rent that. And now I'm going
Yeah.
to move on to the next
But
one.
Yeah.
You're
I
just
think
house
there-
hacking yourself
Yeah.
away,
But
huh?
Yeah.
The strategy is that you're going to buy something that you need to renovate.
Yeah.
That's why you're going to move.
Yeah.
And also, as a resident, you get a better mortgage rate than you do if you're buying it as an investor. So you're not moving because you're bored of where you're living. You're moving to grow your portfolio.
But she's been in the first place long enough
Right, so-
to be able to move,
I
not
think
having restrictions.
No, she didn't
Well,
do
it's a
an FHA. An
conventional.
FHA, I think you have to use. You
okay.
have to stay for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Conventional loan, you could move the next day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
so
her
there's no
strategy
restriction.
is
Okay.
just you can't buy a piece of crap and expect to rent it for great money.
Yeah.
She has to be the victim and live in the
Yes.
crappy house
Yes.
until she finishes it, fixes it, then she makes it beautiful, then she can do this again.
Yes. And
I
then
love
I
it.
also think when you're living in it, you have an eye for things. Like you renovate it to the where it's functional to your liking, taste, and then now it's functional enough to be rented out again. And I just want to keep doing that. Like hopefully that's where I can go into like rent. I will move as many times as I can because I don't mind change of scenery. So I will do it, but that works for me. It might not work for somebody else.
Right. So your actuary friend, do you think that he or she could house hack and move 5 times and do all
Well,
these
are
big
they married? Do
construction?
they have kids?
Not
There's so
everybody-
many.
So you have to have
Yeah.
the right
Yeah.
mindset
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. You have to have the right mindset for it. Some people don't want to do the moving. Some people are okay with it. Like I'm hands-on. Like I like, doing this type of work. I like moving around. So it'll work for me. Like I said, everyone's different. There's 99,000 personalities out there. So it has to make sense for you. Some people just want to move in once and don't want to move for the next 10 years. And I don't even want to buy another house. They just want a shelter. So it's all situational.
Okay.
So, for Gen Z to purchase, they have to account everything into their agenda. They have to know how the process works.
Right.
You have to get a professional and sit down with them, get a lender, talk to a professional real estate agent who knows about these things and can have these conversations with you. Buyer consultation is very important. Everyone's looking for a house,
So now that people are thinking more and more about being their own buyer's agent, right? That's very hot in the news right now. Do you suggest that Gen Zers try it themselves, or are you still, I mean, you're a real estate agent, so you're going to say agent, but why?
You can't try before you buy a house.
Yeah. Well, me specifically, yes, you can buy a house without a buyer's agent. You can go directly to the seller's agent. But you have to always understand that seller's first duty comes to the seller. As a buyer's agent, we're going to always make sure we're doing it the best interest of our buyer. So when the buyer's agent is not there, now you have no representation. So now you're going to a seller's agent. Now this listing agent has to do dual agency and try to work both things. So it might work for some.
You don't have someone in your corner.
You don't have somebody in your corner. Now it's like, are they pulling strings for this seller or are they pulling strings for me? Now it's a question to be, raised. But I also think, it's very important to have an agent because now you're getting the representation, but they also know how it works, how to get the offer accepted. These words like waiving appraisal, you could be like, all right, I'm going to waive appraisal, but what is appraisal? A lot of people don't even understand that
What
term.
is an appraisal? Let's tell the world.
Yeah, an appraisal is when a lender sends out somebody to come and see if the house is actually valued for what it is. They'll use comps for neighboring areas, neighboring houses, and what is sold within the past 6 to 12 months. But they're using 6 months now because houses have been just being sold so rapidly that 6 months is the ideal. And it just keeps going up.
So it's like an independent third party telling you how much the house is worth.
Yes. And depending on what it's worth, the appraised value comes at, that's what the lender is going to lend you the money at. So it's very important to know these terms. And if you're just going to waive it, somebody told me, let's waive the appraisal because I'm going to get an offer accepted. And then now you got the offer accepted. Now the appraisal came in. It's short of 20 grand. Now you don't have 20 grand in your pocket. Now you just wasted all this time and money going through the process and not having a house because they're going to terminate because you don't have the funds. No seller is going to be like, all right, I'm going to come to your level. And maybe if there's, they're gems, they're very nice people, and they're.
But a seller wants to get the highest price they can.
Yes.
Right.
So everybody's out.
Should.
So definitely having a buyer's rep makes your process simpler and gives you much higher chances, especially in a competitive market, of actually getting a deal.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're a seasoned person that knows all about houses and you want to work without an agent, you think you have all information, go for it. But if you're a first-time home buyer, or even a second time, you don't understand a lot of these things. And it's important for somebody to hold your hands. And it's okay if someone needs to hold your hand. There's nothing wrong with that because buying a home is a huge investment. It's one of the biggest investments in your lifetime, besides getting married. That's another one.
Is there a marriage in your future?
We'll see.
For all the viewers out there?
We'll see. But it is a huge investment. So you need some guidance. You need some, words coming from somebody that's experienced in that field. So yeah, I definitely think buyer's agents are important. I know it's going to be costly to some, or hopefully it doesn't do big. It's not a big shift in the economy with that NIR settlement. But if it does, I would recommend buyers to save money for that side too, and then.
So with everyone, we ask them this question, and the one I'm about to ask you, but I feel as though different age ranges have different feelings about this. Do you feel as though, where do you see the market going? Do you feel as though it's going to soften soon? But as a person in their 20s, well, yeah, soften, crash.
I would love for it to crash.
But as a person in your 20s, speak for your generation. Do they feel excited about it or no?
You're asking if it's going to crash or is it going to keep going?
Where's it going to go?
What do the Gen Zs think?
What do the Gen Zs think? Yeah.
Well, I think I can't tell you what everybody thinks, but I'll tell you what I think.
No, speak for everyone. Go ahead.
So I think the housing prices are going to go up. I know they're trying to tame the interest rate. There's going to be multiple cuts happening throughout the year, but that doesn't mean that's going to lower the house prices. House prices are super high. So I bought my house for $550,000, right? It has upstairs, downstairs, 7,000 square feet property. There's a house that's being sold like 1 block away. They listed it for $670,000. No garage, no parking lot, just a house, like squished together between two houses. $670,000 is a lot for that house. But they used our comps, and then the neighboring comps used my comps, and then that's how they came about. But it's been sitting in the market for a while because it's overpriced. But there's driving factors like this, where whether the listing agent is putting these prices high up or the sellers are putting these high prices up. And there's going to be somebody out there who's very desperate just to get into a home.
Yeah.
And they're going to get into a home.
Because they want to start their life.
They're like, you know what? I can make it. They'll just use some math in their head and get into it.
There's always a way to justify
There's
a
always
price.
math in your head.
Yeah. And get into a home. And then what's going to happen is people are losing jobs. One of my friends is CPA, and she works at Prudential. They let go about 1,500.
Wow.
Yeah, so 1,500. But this is like every quarterly they keep releasing people here and there, here and there. And I've been hearing people losing jobs here and there, here and there. But it's not. It's happening in such a slow motion because they're trying to sustain the economy. You know, if they do a drastic dump down, then it's going to crash.
There's your crash.
Yeah.
But the government is trying to, sustain it and keep it afloat. So that's one way is keeping the interest rate high so people are not overbuying. And then now they're lowering it. Now people are coming back in. Right now, the interest rate's going down and the spring market is coming. You know what happens in spring.
Everyone buys.
Everybody
stuff,
gets excited and they want to buy. And
Houses look pretty. There's no snow outside.
So I'm a generation, what is it? I'm a generation Z. No, we're talking here. So
Oh, okay.
I'm a Gen Z. Hi, I'm meeting you for the first time. Give me the top 3 steps. Like, what do I need to do? How much money do I need? What do I do first? Give me a roadmap.
First, I would say set a budget, what you're comfortable with. And you would do that by getting in touch with the lender. They will run your numbers. They will see how much you have and have these conversations. Ask the questions. Ask the questions you think that are dumb. It might be smart because every question matters. Understand if you really have the finances to go to the next step, which is to look for homes. Because if you don't meet the first pre-approvals part and you're bringing in $4,000 and your mortgage is $4,000, how are you gonna pay any other bill? You have to make sure your money makes sense. You can't. We would all love to be homeowners, right? But it's not realistic to just be a homeowner without having something, being tight with money. Then we end up going to foreclosure, and then you end up losing the house. So you did all that work to get accepted just to lose the home.
And it is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. So just make sure your finances make sense, and you're able to get a pre-approval. The second step would be to understand the entire process. Know what the steps are. The first step is finding a lender, then finding an agent, then looking for these homes. After you look for these homes, you have to make sure you understand how the structure, the bidding war and all that happens. Like, you have to understand how that works and be willing to go up in prices or go down. Like, you have to understand where your flexibility is and explain that to your realtor. Hey, I can go up this much. I can't go more than that much. And once they understand the entire process, then I feel like and if all those checks off for you, then you can begin your house search process and
how long will it take me to get a house?
That's a very hard number to give you right now because, like I said, there's a lot of people in the market right now. I've had buyers who have been looking for a home for almost 7 months already.
Wow.
Still nothing. And some people, one buyer that I had last year, I found a home for her within a week.
Oh.
So,
Wow.
but she also had to go very far down south. So it just all depends on where you are, location and demand. So up North Jersey, we're overpopulated here. There's a lot of people, and a lot of people are trying to move out and get new properties, and especially rental area. Like, people are just giving birth. Like the population is growing one way or another, and they're trying to move out of homes, right? Out of parents' homes, and those generation are gonna need rental properties, and eventually they're gonna get tired of those rental properties, and they're gonna need homes.
Okay.
And then they're gonna start families, and then they're gonna buy more houses. So it's like we're in need of houses.
But you're in a good place to be, because once you get someone buying their first home, they're going to stick with you to buy all of the rest of those
hope so.
homes and properties and so
Yeah.
on. Can I just say, and I just want to say that you started before you were a wonderful real estate agent. You were at the Center for Real Estate Education.
Yes, it was.
And we've seen Shamima grow into an amazing realtor.
Yes.
And an amazing person.
Amazing real estate professional.
Yes.
Awesome.
I love it.
It's been quite
And
some
you're a
time.
Gen Z.
And she's Gen Z.
And you own a house.
Yes.
And you're young.
And she's
and
house
that's
hacking,
awesome.
and she's
and you're hacking
multiplying.
it, and you're Gen Zing it, and you graduated at the Center for Real Estate
Yeah.
Education. I mean, all the stars are aligning.
Yeah.
And what's your plan for your next house? How many months?
I was hoping this year, but I
Yes,
don't.
this year.
It's
Yeah.
this year.
This
Yeah,
year.
it's this
You
year.
got to visualize it.
Yeah.
Think it. You got to put the power out there.
Yeah.
This year, you will have your second rental property.
Fingers crossed.
Any
Awesome.
final word of advice for us?
I would say, to everybody, like it's not impossible to get a home, but once you have it in your mind, it's marinating in there. And, Gen Z, we're all about AIs and content creating and all that. Like I've noticed if you're using TikTok and whatnot, make it all about real estate because there's an algorithm. If you're watching all about dances, your TikTok is gonna be all about dances. Make it about houses. Be educated. Be as much gather as much information as you can to educate yourself in the real estate market, the trends, and everything that's happening, so you understand what's happening and you don't just go in there and attack the real estate agent because she can't get you here, she
There you
can't
go.
get you a home. You have to understand all the steps.
Thanks for watching this episode. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next time.